there, it's Amanda here from Lolli Lulu Crafts, and today I am making a card using my new Prism craft alcohol markers. And you hopefully have seen the video where I introduced you to them and showed you all the colours, showed you all about the marker, how it worked. I will link that video down below so you'll be able to find it if you've missed it. So today, as I said, we're going to be making a card using that, and also one of the stamps that I purchased from Hunkydory. This is the cute little Teddy Loves, and then it's cake for this one. So I'm going to start off by stamping using my Ink Me card. I thought for this project we would go full out Hunkydory. So I'm just going to plonk him into the middle of this piece here because I'm not quite sure how big I want the card to be and what size around him I want. So for any alcohol markers, I would recommend that you use your Memento ink pads. They've got lots of different colours, but I'm going to use black today. And the reason that we use this is that it doesn't run or move when you use alcohol markers, because a lot of ink pads, the ink will be moved around by the actual alcohol in the marker. So this one doesn't, and has that stamped beautiful. Stamped, and then I think a little sentiment. So I think we've got to go eat cake at the bottom and enjoy your day at the top. So we're going to say enjoy your day, eat cake. Now I tend to find now I pretty much always use my stamp platform for stamping. I just like that security that you get, just that if it goes wrong, you know, especially with sort of stamps like this where it's a bit thicker and you might not get that lovely blackness that you want. As it happens, I've got a beautiful black depth there, but sometimes it just doesn't quite come out, and it gives you the opportunity to redo it if you need to. Okay, so to the colouring. So we're going to start out with Teddy, and we've got 3 colours here for this. 550, 537 and 536. So that's kind of our light, mid, dark. Yes, we're going to start with the mid shade because I don't want very much of the dark. So as I said, so this is 537, and we want to just do kind of the areas that we think will be darker. So around the edge of him, because obviously that's further back, so it'll be slightly darker. And then down this centre bit here, where basically it's already been kind of highlighted for us. And then a little bit here, where it's sort of by the cake. Now I'm going to kind of follow, I'm not doing this completely, but I'm going to follow him on here, that it's sort of a white nose area, so I'm not going to put anything on his nose area there. So that was our 537. So now I'm going to go in with our paler colour, which is 550, and we're just going to colour in the rest of our little bear, because as I said, we're not doing very much of the very dark colour. And in fact for this, it's probably going to be easier to use our chisel tip and just get that colour down nice and smoothly and easily. Now what you'll notice is that once we add a paler colour, it does start to diminish the colour that was there already. It goes a lot lighter. You'll also notice I just went outside the lines, so I'm just going to get my blender and just basically it pushes the ink back, so you just use that, don't go mad with it, and let it dry before you perhaps go back on that area. Now we've already done the pale bit, so the area I'll be touching is this darker bit. And when I'm looking in the camera, I don't know what it will be like when it's actually on the computer screen, but the darker areas are looking a lot darker than they do in real life. But I'm going to add just a little bit of this 536. Again, I don't want to go mad. I just want just a tiny bit. And I'm kind of dotting it because, you know, Teddy's fluffy, so I want to give that illusion a little bit of that kind of fluffiness. So then I'm going to get my mid-tone again, which is our 537. And I'm literally just going to go over the dark that we just did, plus just going out a little bit more, and that just softens that we've just done. I want to put a little bit around the flower here because that would create sort of a shadow, so we want that. And I'm being a little bit scruffy with it because, as I said, Teddy's fluffy, so I really want to keep that. I think it needs just a little bit around the edges on this bit. It doesn't quite look right. There we go. And then around here, and you can see how that the darker colour, well, again, it's looking stronger on the camera. As I said on a number of my videos, if you've been watching me before, I always put a load of pictures on my post that goes with the video. So if you hop on over to that post, the link, if you're on YouTube, is just below this video in the paragraph there. And you'll get a lot of photos, and I think you'll find that that gives you a little bit better on the colour itself. Blending out that edge where we just added, but what you'll notice is I'm not going over every single part of the pale colour, because when you layer colours it also darkens it, so I wanted to keep some of that paler bit, so I'm just not going over all of it, and that will just keep some of that even paler again. Okay, I think that's looking good. I'm happy with that. And I think the good thing, what you need to do sometimes is sit back, let it dry, and see how it kind of comes out. So now we need to make him into a card. So what we're going to do on his cheeks is take 555, which is a cute little pink, and my colourless blender, and we're going to just add a little bit here where they've actually marked it for us. So we're going to put a bit of pink just there, which looks like super strong right now, but hopefully once we get our colourless blender in, it will just soften up. So we're literally just going around the edges, and it's just softening that up completely. So it's just a little light blush, and once that dries, again, once it dries, it's going to make a difference, because at the moment we can see the colourless blender, but that will go. So we do need to do his little nose, but I'm going to let that colourless blender dry because we're going to go in with black and grey. I don't want it to start moving, because where there's colourless blender it can do the opposite, it can move it in the wrong direction if you're not careful. And I do apologise if you're really, you know, really good at your alcohol markers and you know how to colour, and I'm just sort of teaching you to suck eggs, as they say. Now I do want to just want to soften that a little bit here. So I'm just using a few dots of my blender, and then I'm going to go back in. There. So it probably didn't help that I picked up the wrong one. Is this the right one? Yes. Okay, I think that looks better. Okay, so now you can see the colours blender has really dried away, and you've just got a nice little blush. You could go, I went round the edge of the pink, but if you went over it as well, it would soften it even more. But I wanted that little bit, you know, he's a cute little teddy. Let's have him be all cute. So now I'm going to go in with my black, which is 600, and CG5 for his little nose. So I'm going to start off with the CG5, and what I want to do is leave a little bit of white just there. So I want to be very careful to be sure that I don't know what's going on today. I'm keep going over the lines. It just shows, it doesn't matter, you can correct it. Anyway, so I wanted to leave a little bit of white just so it looks like the shine on his nose. And then I've just gone over to that bit there, and then I'm going in with the black. Like so, and then I'm going back with my CG5, and I'm just blending that line that's between the black and the grey by just going over it with the grey, like so. Okay, so now we're going to do the little flower. So I'm going to start off with the centre of my flower. I've got 2 yellows. I've got 411, which is actually quite dark, relatively, and 408. So I'm going to start off with the darker yellow, just a little bit around the edges of our little centre of the flower, just to give that depth, and then filling in the rest with the 408, and then I'm going to go back in with that darker yellow again. And I'm not going to really blend out that line too much, because the way that that is with the line from the drawing that's already there, I think it looks really nice. Now I was going to fill that in with lilac, and I'm now thinking, I don't know, do I want to keep it like a daisy? I mean, with my little daisy, I think I might do that, because I think that that it's just gonna, it just looks really pretty as it is. And that's the good thing, you know, you can decide as you go along. I tend to get all my colours out, and what you'll see is I get a little bit of card and I swatch them all to decide, you know, that strawberry's going to be that colours, and etc. Now obviously, as you, when they're new, you're not used to the colours, and obviously then you get used to them and you begin to know what each colour is. But the other thing you can do is you can swatch them up and number that swatches so that you can find your colours really easily. Copic them, so they do like a little book, and Hunkydory have a download that you can print off and then you can colour it in, and the number's already on next to the little squares, so that's kind of cool. Okay, so let's now do our cake and plate, etc. So I'm going to start with the little spoon. So I'm going to start with my CG3. We've got CG3, CG1 and my blender again. So I'm going, actually, I think I'll start with the 1 because I'm not sure if I'll need the 3 even. Let's see. Because I'm not even sure with this that I'll need the blender, because I think I do need the 3. It's super pale, but it just needs a little bit more. Just to, so that was the CG3, now I'm going back in with CG1, and that will just soften the harder lines of that darker grey. And I'm actually just literally going over the top of it this time to just soften that down. And then I'm just going to go in with this colourless blender into the middle here, like so. And then I do feel like the underside of that spoon would be darker, so we're going to go in, which isn't easy, but just at those 2 little edges with the CG3, and then CG1 going straight into just a very little bit of white. I don't even know if this will focus. There we go. So you can just see it's just a little detail, but those little details just add a really nice effect to it. And we need those 2 for the plate as well. Now the plate is going to be white, the spoon is meant to be silver, so the plate being white, I'm probably just going to stick with my CG1 and my colourless blender, because we really don't want a lot of extra colour. I might not even need the blender. What we're really doing is creating just the shadows on a white plate, and you almost don't want to see the colour. You notice it because you have shadow going on, but you're not actually seeing that there's a colour there, if that makes sense. So it's very, very, very delicate. I'm hoping you can just see. So it's almost not there. And then to make it even more almost not there, I'm just going to take a little bit of my colours blender at the edges of it, just to soften it even more. And don't forget, when that blender goes away, at the moment it's darker than it will be. So that's our little white plate pretty much done. Just want to go a little bit more here. There we go. So now to our cake. So for our cake, we are going to start with the cake itself. So I've got 3 colours for that. I've got 526, 539 and 540. So we're going to start, the 540 is going to be very little indeed, so we're going to start with these 2, making sure I get the right ends. So I'm going to start with this, I think this will be the slightly darker one, and just sort of where you would imagine it would be slightly darker, so where the icing's probably coming down like that, and at the edges where it's sort of further away, because it's therefore would be a bit darker there, and at the bottom here where the icing's moving again. And then we're going to go in with the yellowy colour. And just blend that out. I'm literally just touching the edges of the colour I put down with the next colour, and because they're quite close in tone and colour, they are blending together with hardly any effort. So then we want to go back in with 539 and just add a little bit more emphasis on those shaded areas, just so that it comes through, because sometimes with the alcohol markers you need to go back in and just add a bit more colour on the dark areas, because the lighter ones wash the colour out a little bit. So there we go, I think that looks good. I think that's fine, and then all I want to do to finish is take my 540 and just add a few little dots. Like you would find on the cake, you know, because it's kind of... And then I'm going to go in with that paler colour and just go over where the dots are to soften them, to make them part of the cake. It's sort of the texture of the cake. Like so, and then again, because that softens and lightens those shadows, we just want to go in and just be sure that they all are showing. There. So that's looking good, I think, looking very tasty cake. Okay, so then we want to go into the icing. So again, I've gone over the lines. I think it's because I'm not used to these nibs yet, so it's just a bit of a different thing for me. And I said I'm going to do the icing, but I'm just ended up tidying up a little bit. So I think we'll start with the strawberry. So for that, I've got no green, I just realised. I've got 518 and 520. So we're going to put down the 518 first. And that's our paler colour, so that's at the top. And then the 520 is on the underside, because that's slightly darker. And it is quite close in colour, so it works quite well. And again here we're just going to blend that out, and then we're going to add a bit more colour on the underside here. And the other thing we want is really, I do need a slightly darker colour, I think, just to add the strawberry dots. So we've got 520. No, I think that looks okay, actually. I think we'll leave well alone. So then I need a little green, which I hadn't picked up because I forgot my green. So let's just quickly pick a green. Pick a green, any green. Whoa. Okay, so we're gonna go, let me actually just take this one. Oh no, I don't know whether that's, no, that's not the colour I want. Okay, so I'm gonna go 519 and 521. Try that one again, 419 and 421. So I'm just going to start first with our 421, which is the darker colour, and that's just going to be on the just those lower little bits of the leaves there. And again, it's just these little details, but and they're easy to do, but it just makes a difference to how it finishes. It just adds that little extra dimension, and hopefully you can just see how you just added that in. Now you can also see that the strawberry has just paled off a little bit, so I'm just going to add a little bit more depth of colour on the underside in the 520, and then a little bit of 518 just in the middle here. Again, not going right up to the top, leaving that pale so that I'm not overlapping with the same colour. And that's that one. And then finally for our icing, so for that I'm going with 510 and my blender. So we're going to put the icing on where we see the lines that the artist has drawn for us. Now I'm going to do the top part first, and then I'm going to come in and do the next bit. So all I'm doing is literally going over the whole thing with the blender now, so it completely softens and just gives an illusion of a very pale pink icing, where some of it's just a little bit stronger where the shadowing is, etc. Now it looks a bit horrid at the moment, but once the alcohol from the blender pen has calmed down, I think that will look really nice, but we can always play around with it. So then that, and then put our blender pen in place just to soften that right down. Okay, so you can see now how that top bit, the blender pen, is drying out, so you're getting how the colour is looking, which I think is great. I'm happy with that. And then I'm going to take the same colour 510 and I'm just going to go straight through the middle on the top bit here, which is our centre sort of jammy yumminess. But I'm going to use the same colour, but I'm not going to use it with the blender pen. I'm literally just going to go over it like that and create a centre bit so it then matches with our icing. It's the same tone obviously, but one's just paler than the other. There we go. And that's our little teddy and his cake all finished. Okay, so I've taken a card that is 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. I then took this Candy Daisies Peach background card from Kanban and I cut that to 5.5 by 5.5, and I did the same for the inside, and I just glued it down using some wet glue. And then I took some of the Blooming Marvellous background card from Kanban again, and I just cut a piece for that. Well, that was actually the scrap. I cut this to 4.5 by 4.5, and then this piece was kind of just left over, so I just popped that in there, and it just makes it a bit easier for somebody to write than on top of those daisies. So that then, when I glued this down, before I glued it down, I put some of this ribbon round. I just thought it was a perfect match. It's just like it was meant to be. I don't know if you can quite catch that. Oh, there we go. It's got the polka dots as well. So I thought that was kind of cool. So now all I'm going to do, I didn't want to show you that. It's just a bit boring watching me stick those down. But the next thing I want to do is put some foam on the back of this bit and put this down at a nice little angle. So then all I want to do, as I say, is put this at a sort of jaunty angle, as I call it. What you're looking to do is make the gap between this point and here and this point and this side the same, and the same for the top and the bottom, and then you'll know you're central, if that's what you want to make it central. And that's kind of not there. that looks good enough, I think. And then this bit's going to go flat down. I'll give that a good push down to make sure it's nicely stuck. And I've got these little crafty bits. I've had these years. I don't even know if they make these not these specific ones. I don't even know if Crafty Bits itself is in business anymore. But I just thought this was kind of pretty, just to add a little bit of something to the card. And they have got foam pads on the back, but I'm just going to add a bit of extra glue on there because one, I like to do that anyway with foam pads, but two, these are pretty old now. I've had them a while, so I'm not sure how good the stick is anymore on them. Whoops. And also it gives me a chance just to fiddle those into place as well. There we go. And then the same with this one. Okay, so I decided to put just plain crystal stickles on the icing because we had just done such a good job with our colouring that I thought that it would spoil it if we covered it up with the coloured stickles. And then I added a little bit of stickles to the daisy there, and then finally I've added some glossy accents to his nose and his eyes. And again, these have gone a bit cloudy obviously because they're not set yet, but I will show it to you when it's all finished and set and you can see how nice it looks. And I was just thinking, oh, that popped off nearly then, that it might be nice to add a little bit of much thinner layer, or just a thin sort of layer to the spoon, because it's meant to be like a silver spoon and it's kind of not got any shine to it. So I think, and I've just literally done a much thinner layer for that so that it looks like it's not domed or anything. Just catch that there. Okay, so that is nearly dry. It's still a little bit opaque, so it's got a little bit to go, but I thought it's dry enough to be able to show you. And it looks so pretty, and on the spoon as well. And hope you just catch that. There we go. So that's our card made using our Hunkydory stamp and my new Hunkydory Prism craft markers. So I hope you have enjoyed making this with me and that you like the finished card. I think it looks really pretty. I'm really pleased with it, even if I do say so myself. So anyway, don't forget to take a look at the blog post that goes with this video, because there'll be links to the products, there'll be photos, lots of photos. I always take loads of photos, and also you will be able to subscribe to my website, whereby you will get an email every time I post a video. Okay, so thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now. Bye.